What's good, YouTube? Welcome back. Thank you for clicking onto this reaction. I hope you're looking forward to it just as much as I am. If you haven't already, head over to the content creators page. That link is in the description box down below. If you haven't already and you're enjoying our content, you know what you need to do. You need to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, but we're going to jump straight into this one. Animated Part 3, No Surrender. Let's go. Let's see what we've got in store for us.
On one side is Hill 382, a small mountain which has been hollowed out to conceal anti-tank guns and artillery.
Iwo Jima's proves with enough resilience any battle can be overturned. Well, I'm looking forward to finding out how.
The other half is dominated by a massive rock the Marines will call the Turkey Knob, that also serves as the Japanese communications headquarters. These concrete reinforced strongpoints form a grid of interlocking fire where no Marine can approach without being spotted.
I see.
This area will soon have a nickname that both the Americans and Japanese will later agree on: the Meat Grinder. The Marines make some progress up to the northwestern side of the airfield, and can only cling to a small stretch of land beyond at the Motoyama Plateau. Over the following days, a grinding attritional battle will see the two sides scrap over every inch of land. American intelligence believes they have destroyed about half of the estimated 13,000 defenders of Iwo Jima. In fact, their appraisal of enemy casualties is accurate. The Marines have killed about 6,000 Japanese soldiers, but what they don't realise is that another 16,000 enemy troops remain on the island.
Yeah, because they only thought there was 12,000 there, weren't there? Didn't they?
And they have been ordered to fight to the death by Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kuribayashi. Rather than performing an expected clean-up operation on the rest of Iwo Jima, the Marines will instead find themselves fighting their way through General Kuribayashi's main defensive line. However, Kuribayashi is having difficulties of his own despite his strong defensive setup. The loss of Mount Suribachi has deprived his artillery of the ability to harass the main landing beaches, and his forces are running low on food, water and material.
So what are they going to do?
On D+9, the men of Easy Company of the 28th Marine Regiment are redeployed to the front after resting and refitting behind the lines after their daring charge up Mount Suribachi. The iconic photograph of 6 Easy Company men raising the flag over Iwo Jima has galvanized the United States home front, and President Roosevelt will soon ask for those Marines to be transferred home for a war bond tour.
I'm assuming that they don't get to make it.
But first, on D+9, the 28th Regiment is ordered to the northern front to rejoin the main battle. The 28th Regiment must traverse a maze of gullies and caves where enemy troops could be lurking behind every corner. The Marines are cautiously entering a small canyon when they come under fire from Japanese snipers. Chuck Lindbergh, the flamethrower Marine who won a Silver Star on Mount Suribachi, is hit immediately and must be carried to the rear for evacuation. Sergeant Mike Strank, one of the flag raisers, orders his platoon to take cover behind an outcropping of rocks. As they are discussing an escape route, a shell from a friendly destroyer offshore falls short and explodes next to Strank, killing him instantly.
Oh my god! Oh, I know friendly fire happens all the time, but it's always the worst thing to fucking see happen.
Holly hands Strank's watch to another flag raiser, Harlon Block, for safekeeping. Shortly after, Block himself is hit by a mortar shell and shouts, "They killed me," before slumping over dead. The following day, Lieutenant Colonel Johnson, who has locked the original flag away in the battalion safe, is killed in a Japanese artillery barrage while directing his men at the front. 3 of the men intimately involved in one of the most iconic moments in American military history are dead in a matter of hours.
What a shame.
On the other side of the island, radio man Tsurugi Akikusa of the Imperial Japanese Navy is inside the communications bunker within the Turkey Knob. By the night of the 1st of March, the bunker is nearly out of food and water, but more importantly, the radio equipment has been destroyed. Akikusa volunteers alongside 7 other men to run across the Motoyama Plateau and deliver a message to the Naval Air Group command bunker requesting more supplies. Before he leaves, Akikusa's best friend Shoji Kageyama warns him to be careful. The radio man responds, "Don't worry, I'll be right back." In the dead of night, Akikusa and the other messengers slip out of the communications bunker from a cave exit. They make their way north, moving parallel to American lines as they silently cross the killing ground of the Motoyama Plateau. All around them lies the devastation of war, as they pass the twisted remains of wrecked tanks and rotting corpses which could not be evacuated during the day.
And I'm assuming this is the place they called the meat grinder. This is the area, yeah? Like no
US naval
type of
artillery
place.
occasionally fires star shells into the night sky, forcing the runners to frequently dive for cover before the landscape is illuminated by artificial light.
I see.
Whenever a star shell
Didn't know ship used that, but it makes sense. Makes sense the ships would light up the sky.
explodes near them, Akikusa must often hide amongst the rows of decomposing human remains to avoid being spotted from the American foxholes. He works hard to not lose the contents of his stomach before jumping back up when the area goes dark again. The runners creep silently towards their objective while trying to avoid detection. He and the other runners are almost to the entrance of the command bunker when the radio man spots bright flashes coming from the south. Akikusa dives to the ground as an artillery shell explodes amongst the runners. He looks around to see if anyone else has survived before crawling towards the bunker entrance.
He was
Yet
the only
another
one.
shell explodes next to him, severely wounding his leg. With the last of his strength, Akikusa manages to roll into the trench in front of the bunker and is taken inside by Japanese soldiers.
Holy shit. Holy shit. I bet that man went through hell during that whole situation. That's absolutely crazy. How's a movie not written about that?
Recites his message to Captain Inoue before passing out from blood loss, but has survived the ordeal.
All of his
By the end of the
men
battle,
died, though.
Akikusa will be the only survivor from the communications bunker in the Turkey Knob. On the 4th of
only
March,
one.
a crippled B-29 going by the call sign Dynamite requests an emergency landing on Iwo Jima's captured southern airfield while returning from a bombing mission over mainland Japan. Despite the battle still raging on the island, over 2,000 Seabees have worked night and day to make the southern runway usable in less than a week. Dynamite makes a hard landing, but the crew is safe. Marines watch as the airmen leap from the aircraft and kiss the ground, shouting, "Thank God for you Marines."
Oh,
It will be the first of
I bet they were absolutely shitting themselves. They thought they were going to crash into the sea.
2,251 emergency landings by American aircraft on Iwo Jima. During breaks in the battle,
Wow, there was 253 emergency landings on the...
the Marines
They needed this place.
watch as B-29s land at the airfields they have secured, providing a much-needed morale boost. The Americans continue to inch their way across the island, methodically destroying Japanese positions. When the infantry is faced with a particularly difficult strongpoint, American flamethrower tanks are brought in to burn the Japanese out. These Zippo or Ronson tanks prove to be the best weapon against the seemingly endless number of enemy bunkers and caves. The American armour develops their own corkscrew and blowtorch tactic, with 2 Shermans, 1 gun-armed and 1 flame tank, approaching a Japanese strongpoint. The gun-armed Sherman will use its 75mm main gun to blow a hole in the enemy bunker before withdrawing. The flamethrower Sherman will then move up and shoot flaming napalm into the opening.
Ugh.
The armoured
Napalm as well. Imagine just getting napalmed in a bunker. That shit is just sticking on you. You're dead. You're dead.
flamethrower tanks have a range of almost 250 feet, doubling the effective range of the infantry's M2 flamethrower.
Doubling
Captain
the
Frank
range.
Coldwell, a company commander in the 26th Marine Regiment, will later state, "It was the flame tank more than any other supporting arm that won this battle."
I bet.
However,
Bet.
there are only 8 of these tanks on Iwo Jima, meaning most attacks are launched unsupported by the Marines' best weapon. By the 5th of March, the Americans have finally breached the Japanese main defensive line, only to come up against a strongly fortified secondary line. The 3rd
Yeah,
Marine Division,
very
under the
sticky
command
death.
of Major General Graves Erskine, has cleared out most of the Motoyama Plateau, only to be held up by Hill 362C, a dominating
that?
feature overlooking a volcanic sulfur field.
Oh, I see. That's why it's so important. And so
Life in the foxholes is near impossible for the Marines, who must contend with hot sulfur burning their skin as fumes bubble up from cracks in the ground.
So even the environment and the ground is out to get you for the Marines.
The initial assaults against Hill 362C have so far failed, with numerous casualties despite overwhelming artillery barrages. General Erskine orders another attack before dawn on the 7th, but this time will employ new tactics. At 5 AM, the 9th and 21st Marine Regiments leave their foxholes and move quietly across the battlefield. American tactics in the Pacific Theatre have dictated that artillery and air power should always bombard the enemy before the infantry attacks in force. General Erskine has noticed that the Japanese on Iwo Jima retreat deep into the vast tunnel complex during the preemptive bombardment and return to man their positions when the Marines advance. He decides to ditch this strategy and orders his division to attack without a preparatory barrage.
So they don't know.
The men have been ordered to
Smart. He sees what tactics they're using and he's adapting it.
Observe strict radio silence as they advance gingerly towards the first enemy line. When they reach it, they find the Japanese defenders fast asleep at their posts. The Marines bayonet the enemy and continue forward undetected. They start to climb what they believe is Hill 362C, until a Japanese machine gun finally spots them and opens fire. A flamethrower unit swiftly deals with the gun position, while the rest of the Marines make a break towards the summit. A short but vicious firefight breaks out as the defenders realise what is happening and try to...
I was about to say, I think the flamethrowers would give their position up and make this all aware of what's happening now, right?
Man their positions. However, the element of surprise is so complete that the Japanese can only offer scattered resistance. The Marines clear the hill by 6:20 AM.
Well played for the morning assault.
Lieutenant Colonel Harold Bohm, commander of the 3rd Battalion in the 9th Marines, is overjoyed when he learns of the stunning victory, only for his heart to drop when day breaks over Iwo Jima. He is horrified to discover that his men have stormed the wrong hill. They had gotten lost in the dark and advanced 250 yards in a different direction.
How are you gonna fuck up like that? It's dark, I know. But holy shit. Holy shit. What a shame.
Hill 362C is still occupied by the enemy, and the now alert Japanese have pinned down the 1st and 2nd Battalions, which have been caught in the open. Bohm orders his
Look at how many men are caught out in the open.
Men to attack at once to relieve the pressure on the other Marine battalions and press home his early advantage. While 3rd Battalion charges towards Hill 362C, the other 2 battalions of the 9th Regiment are being cut to pieces.
They look like they're getting
Lieutenant
shredded.
William O'Bannon of Fox Company in the 1st Battalion screams into the radio for tank support, but the Shermans are too far behind the front to quickly move to Fox Company's position, and a broken down tank blocks the only usable path to the front. Japanese spigot mortar and machine gun fire from Hill 362C decimate.
No, the whole is it a platoon or is it a command? Is it a battalion? Is it a platoon or a battalion? Anyway, it's getting wiped out. There's going to be no one left. Surely, right? They're getting slaughtered. They're getting absolutely rinsed.
O'Bannon's ranks. They will be stuck in the open under enemy fire for the entire day. By the time the tanks arrive to relieve them the following morning, Fox Company only has 5 combat effective men left after starting the previous day with 200.
5 men survived out of 200. 200. 5 men survived. You imagine being those 5 men and knowing that all your other comrades had died. You're going to live with that shit for the rest of your life. Holy shit.
Yet their sacrifice has not been in vain. 3rd Battalion manages to gain a foothold on Hill 362C, and the Marines start clearing enemy positions with grenades and flamethrowers. Furthermore, the earlier capture of the smaller hill has unhinged the Japanese defensive front, allowing reinforcements to be brought forward without harassment fire from the enemy.
Too many men died
By nightfall,
for that though.
The hill which had held up the entire 3rd Marine Division is finally secured. Despite the earlier mistakes, the surprise attack has cracked the Japanese secondary defensive line. The loss of Hill 362C is the last straw for Kuribayashi's officers. Without his knowledge or blessing, subordinates Captain Inoue and General Sender send out word to launch a general attack, code for a banzai charge on the night of the 8th of March. They have decided that the fate of Iwo Jima now rests on their shoulders, and only they can turn the tide before the entire garrison is wiped out.
Holy
As
shit.
night falls, Japanese soldiers begin preparations for the largest banzai charge of the Battle of Iwo Jima. This week on our new...
And that's going to be absolutely terrifying, and we'll find out what happens in the next episode, in the next reaction. What another great reaction, guys. Thoroughly enjoying this one. How we all doing? We all good?